All right, babe. It's episode 4 of the Strawberry Milk Podcast Quick Sip series. What are we talking about today?
Wakanda forever.
That's right, the sequel to 2018's Black Panther, a much anticipated sequel, might I add. This is an absolutely star studded movie. It's actually the sixth highest grossing film from 2022.
Is it really?
Yeah, but before we get off track, we got to go through our little pleasantries before we actually discuss the movie. So, release date November 11th, 2022. I thought it came out later than that.
We didn't watch it until it came out on Disney Plus.
Well, we didn't watch it till it came out on Disney Plus, yes, and I somehow managed to avoid a majority of the spoilers,
Me
but I could have
too.
sworn it was a December release. But anyway, it boasts a 6.8 on IMDb, which is
What?
my least favorite of all the rating websites. I'm kind of a Rotten Tomatoes guy,
Me
as
too, but
terrible as it sounds, but it's got an 84% on the tomatometer, whatever, with the
I'm
one that their actual critics go on to, out of 428 reviews, and a 94% audience score from 10,000 plus reviews.
so it's right. Yeah.
It comes in at a whopping 2 hours and 41 minutes. That's what, slightly shorter than the Batman.
It didn't feel like it was that
It
long.
didn't feel like it. Like, it actually felt good to watch. Like, the
Mhm.
movie's a solid pace. Everything about it moves right, but I don't know. We'll get into the cons later on in the show,
You rhymed.
right? Huh?
We'll get to the cons later on.
Oh my! Like I said, it's the sixth highest grossing film from 2022. Against a budget of $250 million, it earned $858.8 million.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's what it currently sits at. I think some theaters are still showing it, so I'm sure by like maybe summer, we'll have a more like definitive answer as to what it
Fair.
brought in
Yeah.
altogether. Because I'm pretty sure it's going to crack $1 billion. Directed by one Ryan Coogler. He did Creed in
You know what?
2015.
I've always read his name is Kugler.
Coogler?
Yeah.
Is it Coogler?
I don't know.
It's a weird ass last name. Anyway, I'm just gonna say Cogler. He directed Creed in 2015 with the sequels Creed 2 and the newly released Creed 3.
Oh,
He has a producing hand in it, but he's also the director for 2018's Black Panther.
well, that's why it was good. There you
Yeah,
go.
like, this movie's another example of a lot of people that have kind of worked together on projects in the past, just continuing to pump out solid hits when they all come
Consistency is
together.
really important.
The cinematography was done by Autumn Durald Arkapaw. Uh,
Woo! Women in STEM.
couldn't really find much for feature films, right? Mostly television and short films.
Yeah.
But they did work on Beastie Boys' story in 2020.
Oh,
I
nice.
figured that was like the most notable like feature film,
That's fun.
because
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of some of the other ones that they had been working on. The screenplay, again, Ryan Coogler has a hand in writing it, but then Joe Robert Cole is the co-writer.
Okay.
They both worked on the original Black Panther together. The music is done by one Ludwig Goran. It's German, like Goranson,
Ludwig
Goranson. I'm gonna say Goranson. Again, he worked on the original
Göransson.
Black Panther alongside Ryan Coogler. They were both actually fellow USC graduates.
Oh, there you go.
He actually helped him produce the music for Ryan's first feature film, which got a lot of acclaim. The name is escaping me now as I didn't write it down,
No,
but it
that's
was like a
fine.
cool breakout at the film festivals when he hit the directing scene.
You know what? I love a pair of friends.
I do. I love a pair of friends. I love a good trio that
Mm-hmm.
continuously works together, like we said, and pushes out great films,
Yeah.
right? Like I said, a star-studded cast, people that we've come to know initially from the Black Panther release because they were kind of doing TV shows or like lower budget movies, but have since broken out into their own stunning careers since its release back in 2018. Uh, so for our leading lady replacing Chadwick Boseman
Mm-hmm.
as Black Panther, who unfortunately did pass away, R.I.P. Letitia Wright, she plays Shuri in the original movie, Endgame, Infinity War, and she's in Ready Player One, apparently.
I still haven't seen that.
I still haven't seen it. It looks cool, like all the little nostalgia they throw in, like the Iron Giants in there.
Yeah.
You get to see the Mach 5, I'm pretty sure, like Captain Falcon. There's like a bunch of video game references in it. It's like a live action Wreck-It Ralph.
Ooh.
We also have the amazing, the legendary Angela Bassett.
Woo!
Now, Angela Bassett has a career that spans multiple decades, right? She's been in Boys in the Hood. She's been in Malcolm X, where we have Denzel Washington playing the famed civil rights leader. She was Rosa Parks in the Rosa Parks story. She was also in Green Lantern. But
There
what
you
the
go.
majority of people came to know and love her as was for
American
her
Horror
character
Story.
on ER.
Oh.
She's been on ER, I think, since 1994.
Damn,
I
girl.
think her character's finally done with the show, ending within the last few years. Don't quote me on that. I'm
Good
not
for her. Good
that
for
big of
her.
a ER head.
Everything she's in though is
Um,
just fantastic.
Everything she's in is amazing. I agree. Winston Duke, my favorite
There he
actor
is.
on the entire cast list. I love anything this man is in. He's in the hell's his name? Jordan Peele, right? I was gonna say Keegan Michael Key. I'm like, no, he's not the horror director
No.
because they just work so well together. Like,
Yeah.
love the Key and Peele show. But anyway, Winston Duke was on Jordan Peele's earlier horror movie Us. He was also in Spencer Confidential, which I liked. I haven't seen the second one
Didn't
yet,
see that.
but I like the first one. It was really cool. Obviously reprising his role as M'Baku from the first Black Panther movie, as well as from Infinity War and Endgame. Um, not going to list off what he's been in because Michael B. Jordan's in the movie for all of like 5 minutes, and I figure we'll save that for when we actually review the first movie since we're doing this out of order. What do you think?
Also, everybody knows who Michael B. Jordan.
Everyone,
Everyone knows.
Creed,
Yeah, it's fucking Michael B.
Chronicle.
Jordan.
Oh my God, man, this guy's in everything. And then finally, some representation from your boy's side of the racial spectrum.
Woo!
Tenoch Huerta,
Woo!
playing Namor, who
Woo!
is the leader of basically this version of the Atlanteans.
He's a canonical god, dude.
No.
Yes.
He's viewed as a god. He's a mutant.
Yeah, canonically though.
That's not a canonical god. His people worship him
Feathered serpent
as a god.
god.
Yeah. But he is the leader of the Talocanil, who live in the city of Talocan, which is basically their version of Atlantis. They draw a lot of inspiration from Aztec and Maya culture,
Which is so fucking cool.
pre-colonization, which is actually a driving factor in his character development and his
Yes.
character's backstory, I'd say.
Yes.
But it's just oh my God, like we're gonna fanboy and fangirl
Yes.
later on in this show. We got to get through all these pleasantries here. Denai Gurira, right?
Woo!
Which I pronounce her name Spanish wise because it looks like it's spelled like that. Like I'm not gonna pronounce her name because I can't find an actual pronunciation of it because all the TV hosts that she does interviews with are like
Yeah.
British and white for some reason, and so they throw the seasonless pronunciation on there. But anyway, you know her best as Michonne from The Walking Dead.
Not on your list?
No, she wasn't in the movie enough.
What?
She wasn't in the movie enough.
Oh.
Listen, T'Challa's dead. She's irrelevant. You all know who
Nah.
I'm talking about.
Nah.
Uh,
Rude.
but anyway,
Justice.
my love, lead us with what you like about this movie. Or do you want to talk about we should talk about the plot first, huh?
I mean,
I feel
like plot talk is redundant.
I know we'll give it a quick rundown because I feel like we kind of just list facts.
Yeah.
In the opening part, which is good, but we'll do a quick rundown. So anyway, this movie, obviously they had to write around the passing of Chadwick Boseman.
Sucks.
It does suck. Like you can tell it's one of the things that knocks my scoring of this movie down. You can really tell that they had to quickly work around his death to get the movie out, right? Because I think he died during production.
Yeah.
But anyway, the movie right away lets you know that T'Challa is dead, right? The family is grieving. They're kind of taken apart, but not taken apart. They're kind of shook apart by it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mother, obviously, she processes her grief in a more mature, refined way, but we have Shuri as a recurring theme throughout the movie. She kind of refuses to let her brother go.
She's young.
She's still holding on to that pain. She views his death as a failure on her part.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a driving force for how everyone plays their character throughout this movie, right? And so what we see in this is that after Wakanda has been exposed to the world, the same thing that happens in real life. Once a new resource hits the scene, you have people either trying to create it synthetically, steal it for themselves, or searching for new sources around the world, right? And that search for vibranium around the world is what leads people to discovering deposits in the ocean, which fall under the protection of Namor. And that's kind of how he is introduced in the movie. And then, he goes to Wakanda and is like, hey, listen, we got to either work together and I need to know that you're on our side.
Yeah.
or I'm just going to treat you as an enemy like I'm doing with everyone else that's a surface dweller, right? And it's kind of cool because Wakanda at this point has not seen or dealt with an enemy that's on the same level as them. The
Yeah.
council even calls that out, that like a lot of fear is in the discussion scenes
Yeah,
when they're
cause
talking about how to deal with this potential threat.
yeah, cause doesn't he literally go, like they don't call him king, they don't call him
He's
general,
a
they
god.
call him feathered serpent god, bro.
It is really nice. It's cool to see the type of pressure
Mhm.
that Namor puts on everyone, and it's
How he just casually swims up.
right, like for me, he delivers the best performance in the entire movie.
Yes.
Right, he like Angela Bassett is the second best, obviously, but what puts him at a level above her performance, in my opinion, is just literally you feel that pressure when
Mhm.
he walks in a room. Like he is that guy. Every time they speak his name,
He's got that motherfucking
every
dog in him.
time he's in a scene, every time he's doing something or speaking to someone, there's just
Yeah,
intensity,
yeah.
right? They took how Killmonger's character made people react and just added that to someone who was like, actually that guy,
Yeah.
who was actually on an untouchable level. And it just, oh my God, I don't know. It does wonders for the storytelling.
It's fantastic.
But with that being said, my love, what's one of your favorite scenes, or what do you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I have my favorite scene. It's when they're invading Wakanda
I
and
you know
Namor just casually murders the fucking queen. Like it's something to do.
no, he doesn't murder the queen.
He drowns her ass.
His grenades drown
As he
her,
should.
and technically she drowns herself, saving Sherry's friend.
Speaking okay, wait, I'll wait, I'll wait.
What do you? No, no, no. Keep going.
No, actually, like one of my opinions I wrote down is that like
Is it for pros or cons?
it's a con.
It's a con. Do you want to wait till we do the?
No, 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 no. I could say it because like you know how she dies because she's saving Riri or whatever, right?
What the fuck did you just say?
The girl's
No.
name, her nickname is Riri.
Yes.
The reason why Angela Bassett drowned is because she was trying to make sure that Riri was safe.
Yes. I'm sorry. You said Riri, and I was like, Rihanna's not in the
Rihanna's
movie.
not in the movie, but
She's tearing it up on the
I
Super
just
Bowl
felt like
stage.
Riri's character was completely unnecessary. Like it felt like a very obvious B plot to me.
Yeah, they kind of just needed some. So the whole movie, right? As with the first one, there's obviously undertones. There's different themes. There's different things that they're trying to address, right?
Yeah.
What I feel is one of those things in this movie is kind of the passing of the torch, or uh, an evolution of a mindset,
Hmm.
right? You have the countries around the world either trying to steal, create, or acquire their own vibranium,
Yeah.
right? Um, you have Wakanda as a whole trying to evolve as a society now that their presence is known around the world and they are an official superpower. Well, they were always a superpower, but now like they're known. They got a
Everyone
seat on the
knows they're a
UN and
superpower.
everything.
Yeah.
They got an embassy and everything,
Oh my
right?
god, the scene where the queen fucking walks in after they tried to steal her shit with all of
An
them fucking
amazing
tied.
opening
Oh
scene. That
my
scene sets
god.
the tempo for the rest of the movie, and it only falls flat in the end.
Fantastic.
Like, oh my god, this movie is so close to being perfect. But well, since you put the initial invasion of Wakanda as your favorite scene, now I was actually torn between that and Namor's origin story.
Oh, that was so good.
His origin story to me is one of the best done in the MCU.
I agree.
Up there, well, it's the best one so far.
I agree.
A more recent one for me actually was in Thor: Love and Thunder. I loved fuck, what the hell is his name? Who does
Gorn.
No, it's Gore. I love
Gorn.
Gore's origin story.
Gorn.
It was great. Like in the comics, I loved reading about it. It was just it's a miserable existence. And then he goes on to become the God Killer.
Yeah, Gore the God
But
Butcher.
Gore the God Butcher. But oh my god, Namor's is just so much cool from how he gets his actual name, right?
Yes.
It's just great. I'll leave you to see the movie to
His
see what I'm
monologues
talking
are
about. The
amazing.
monologues are great. Every scene that he's in is
It's just
typically a
fucking
monologue, but it's great.
magnificent.
When he's giving Shuri the tour of Talocan, right? And he's talking about like my people have thrived down here.
Yep.
He's like, I built a it's like a light source. He's like, I
I brought
brought the
them the
sun in the
sun.
darkness of the ocean.
Ah,
His whole life is just written out in mosaics. And it's so cool because at the end of the movie, he's still updating his tale, and it shows him fighting a Black Panther.
Mhm.
And I think that's really cool. I love how they take the inspirations from the Maya and Aztec cultures and incorporate it into this
It
movie.
was so fucking cool, like, I cannot stress enough how much I fucking loved that. Like, that was so fucking wicked.
It felt really good
It
getting to
felt
see that.
really good.
Um, but with that, my love,
What's your favorite scene? Oh, you already
I just
said.
I just said my favorite
Okay,
scene.
what's your
What's your
runner up?
my runner up was the invasion of Wakanda.
Okay, my runner up was the expedition for vibranium when they're on the ship and they do the siren song and everyone's just walking off,
Ah,
and then he just comes up and they're like they think that they're flying away and Namor's just like
oh yeah, he blows up that helicopter.
I just
I
Atuma
don't
and Namora look so fucking cool.
I
Like
don't
they
know for
just look
that.
so cool to me.
No, like the entirety of the design, it's really good for those characters. It's really good how they get the Talokani people.
This movie's just more
Uh
by Panic.
every movie to you is
Every movie's
bypass.
by Panic. It's ugh.
Oh my god, but an honorable mention for me
Yeah.
is the entire exchange between the Queen and Namor where he's threatening invasion.
Yep.
Where because
What
she
can I
tries
offer
to
you in exchange?
no, cuz
Nothing.
no, cuz she threatens him.
Yep.
Remember, she's like, "Oh, if you harm my daughter," she's like, "I will unleash the full wrath of Wakanda on you and your people." And he's like, "If you do anything," he's like, "I'll kill your daughter."
Yep.
And then I'll come to Wakanda and I'll kill you too. I was just like, Jesus, bro.
Motherfucker did not care.
Pressure and
Did not
absolute
care.
menace. Fuck the wings on his feet. Those are black Air
Little
Force Ones
dorky
that he's
ass
got. They're
fucking
not dorky.
wings. That's also one of my notes. It's
Oh
Namor's
my
ankle wings are
god.
dorky in
Oh,
all caps.
okay, okay, let's get to these notes. What's your least favorite scene, my love?
The final fight, like the one between
Yes.
Namor and Shuri, and then also there's the fight between the armies. It was so clearly on a set for one, on a blue screen for two, and just CGI'd. Everything about it just screamed CGI'd, you know?
And what's
It could have
funny,
been so cool. Like the whole premise of like her figuring out a way to get Namor dried out,
yeah.
right? Like that's clever. That's
But see,
cool. And they just fumbled.
it is a cool concept. I think it shares a lot of similarities with what makes the first one not a perfect movie as well.
Mhm.
But also the first movie doing so well is what kind of makes this second one fall flat in certain areas. With me in agreement of that last final like confrontation between Wakanda and the
Cuz you know what it was?
Atlanteans and
You know what
Shuri
it
and
was?
Namor,
It
huh?
was the fucking lighting.
No,
There's no reason for everything to be at exactly 12 o'clock noon just because you're too lazy to adjust the fucking lamps in the studio. I
no. See, for
refuse to
me,
hear it.
the lighting didn't really do anything to take away from it. It's just we have that epic battle of Wakanda against itself, right? We
Yeah.
have the Royal Guard and the Border Tribe going at it. And it's just, I don't know, the stakes feel so much higher for some reason, even though it's an
But
internal
yeah.
conflict. You have a much more cinematic battle, and you have a better final confrontation between T'Challa and Killmonger happening. My
Yeah.
critiques of that fight actually carry over into this one. I feel like the villain in real life would be too smart to go out the way they did,
Yes.
right? And a bunch of other critics and a bunch of other reviews, be it on Rotten Tomatoes itself, TikTok, or just people typing on their Facebook walls and shit, right? A lot of them agree that Namor doesn't really seem to have a flaw.
No, he's just that fucking guy.
He's calm, he's calculative, right? Maybe he's a little people have said arrogant, but not really.
He's
He's
not even
he's
really
aware of his
arrogant.
limitations, but he exploits his enemies so that they never figure out his, and two, it's not really a factor in battle.
Well, literally what it is that when you're canonically that fucking guy,
Yeah,
you're gonna know that you're that fucking guy and act accordingly.
but
Like, he had that fucking I was gonna
he's
say
got that.
dog in him.
He's like, what if I told you Namor got that dog
Dog
in
in him.
him?
I was gonna make a joke like sea lion.
If you guys are on TikTok, you know what that's in reference to. But yeah, the final confrontation just isn't good, and that goes into my cons.
Oh.
I really believe that Shuri is the weak link in this movie.
Yeah,
Call it bias from some of her actresses, like in real life anti-vax statements,
yeah.
which have been resolved. That's why Disney kept her on. But I think because of that, I I don't think she's vaccinated. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I
it
don't know.
because of that, every scene that she's in the end, where she's facing off against Namor, it's just you can see that he's on set in the blue screen and she's in front of a
Somewhere.
green screen by herself because it's just from the chest up.
And even when she's acting, like, you
And
don't feel anything.
you don't like she gives the flattest performance. Like she was acting in the first one,
Yes.
but I'm not feeling that same type of pizzazz in this second one.
No. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
A great actress, but even in the sequel to a powerful film, you can still kind of fall flat, in my
You
opinion.
can get too comfortable with your position in it, you know?
Yeah. Um, and also just like I said, like I keep saying, the success of the first one really just makes some of the stuff in the second one not seem like it's still
You
great,
can't beat
but not as
perfection
good.
is the
The
issue.
first movie,
The bar was so
when it
high.
comes to the supporting elements, is
Yeah.
like music, lighting, the cinematography, 10. This movie, I mean, overall the rating it kind of went down for me a bit. Like the music, like I said, the Black Panther tie-in album
Yeah.
was one of the best albums of 2018. It's hard to beat talent like, Kendrick Lamar,
It's true.
Weeknd, SZA.
Yeah.
I think some Dreamville's on there, Ab Soul. It was a great, great album. I think we finally have another film that's like that, and that's the new Creed movie. I was listening to some of the tie-in
Oh,
album, and it's really fucking good.
there you go.
Um, but yeah, the music's not as good. I'm not feeling as emotionally invested as I was with, and I'm not talking about like the main line like rap and like pop songs, but like the actual composition of the film.
Yeah.
I just feel isn't isn't as good as the first one. What do you think?
Well, I didn't actually organize this time. I just put down my assorted thoughts, right?
Well, that was I feel like we spent a long time on the cons, right? So what about some pros for the movie, my love?
Namora's outfit,
Yes, the
Atuma in general.
costumes. Yeah, dude, that Atuma was that guy.
Big, big boy.
He is a great enforcer.
He built like you.
All right. He's a great enforcer, like when it's that initial conflict between Okoye and himself, where he's literally
I
just
like the
casually walk
warrior.
yeah, he's literally just casually walking up and he's about to kill the hostage, and then she finally gets there in time and he's like, oh, and he gives her a chance. Like
Kicks the spear back.
yeah, like he disarms her and he looks at her and he's like, I like the fight, and gives her
Go.
spear back, and like you said, they address each other as warrior. It's a great inner rivalry
Yeah.
that you get to see because while they do best each other in battle, they don't really beat each other.
There's no sport in it.
And that's good because, well, the Wakandans are on the same level as this opposing force.
Yeah, they're
Like
equals. They're
yeah,
literally they're the generals.
it's just it's really good to see when it's basically was it the immovable object meets the unstoppable force.
Yeah.
The Namor and his people being
That guy.
the immovable object, right? But some more of the pros, right?
The
Obviously,
wardrobe I have.
fantastic acting from the entirety of the supporting cast.
Oh yeah.
The wardrobe, you said, my love.
Yeah, wardrobe. You bald-headed demon.
Oh yeah, the jokes, the comedy in this movie is spot on. It's appropriate for when they slip it into the scenes. It doesn't seem like it's spoon fed into your mouth.
Ugh.
It's not dry pan. It's like each character
Their own little
what they would actually say. Like M'Baku would walk in eating and waving a carrot around, calling people bald headed demons. I love that. That shit was
you bald-headed
hilarious,
demon.
man. Oh my god, the imagery again. This is a
I
beautifully
like
shot and created movie.
I liked his scene with Shuri. I liked when they were talking and she's like, "You would follow a child who scoffs at tradition," and he's like, "Dude, we've moved on past that."
Yeah.
Like it
M'Baku gets a lot of growth.
he does.
And that really sets up for the post-credit scene where he challenges for the throne. I am really excited
I
at the
love
aspect of
that
him
he's the
being king.
king. I love
No,
it.
he's not the king yet.
Oh.
He's challenged for the throne. Remember, it cuts off after that. You got to see who would challenge him.
Oh.
Oh my god. But just it's a great job of showing the full all-around story. You get equal parts of the Wakandan struggle and equal parts of Namor's struggle,
Yeah.
trying to basically keep his people safe. It's really good. Like he's not a villain. He is
No.
absolutely not a villain.
As I wrote, once again, the villain's making sense.
The villain, but he's not the
Making a lot of
villain.
sense. The anti-hero, perhaps.
But
Making a lot of sense.
what's a good what's like a nice Easter egg, or like what's your nice little fun fact from the movie, my love?
Oh God, fun fact. I have I have a couple. Okay.
You have a couple. Let's hear them.
So I whenever I watch a movie that I like, I go into some deep diving because I'm stupid. And so literally they filmed like his monologue where he's declaring war, where
Yeah,
Namor is, he filmed that underwater. Like in water. Like he did a take like with the wires and everything and
yeah,
him actually talking. And then he filmed the same thing in the water. Like almost like I think it's like some staggeringly high percentage of their underwater scenes that everybody's actually in the fucking water, and that is just mind-boggling to me. It
It's
was the
really
size
good,
of a house,
and they all swim.
and they all
They
swam.
all they like all got
Namor didn't
actual
know how to
trainers.
swim. He didn't know how to swim before this. So literally, he was like, they called him to tell him he got the job, and he was like, well,
He's like, well, to be fair, I don't think he's had to swim in any of like his other works. He's in Narcos. He's in the or the Mexico version. I don't think he
he's got
swims
crazy hair in
at all
that.
on that.
He's got
It's
crazy
great. He's more
hair.
of an international star. I'd actually have to look up more of his filmography to see if he swims in any of his other films. But
I don't think
for
so.
me, a nice little tidbit is M'Baku's complete shift after he literally gets punched in the fucking chest by
Yep.
Namor.
Oh my
It's during the
god.
initial invasion because
I like when he's
everything leading
swinging,
up, yeah,
and
M'Baku,
Namor just puts his fucking hand up, and he just looks at him like
and he breaks his
he's
club.
like,
You
"Hello."
notice afterwards, instead of it being a solid wood club, it's metal at the end.
Yep.
And it still doesn't do shit.
Nope.
But up until that point, whenever Namor was brought up, M'Baku was always like, "Why don't we just go
Fishman.
beat it?" Yeah, he's Fishman. Why don't we just go beat his ass? That was literally his whole thing. He's like, "Let's give this
Let
man
me
the
at him.
hands."
Let me fucking at
And
him.
then the invasion happens. He's holding his own against some of the the other grunt characters, and then he gets up to his confrontation with Namor.
Yeah.
And he literally just gets punched in his fucking chest. And the next time we see him, instead of spouting off being like, let's just go fucking kill him, he actually sits down and informs the council about Namor's history and his relationship with his
Yeah.
people. He literally he refused to believe that any normal man could beat his ass like that. And he had to go and read the entire history
He
of an ancient people
confirmed.
to confirm that this guy's
He said,
just
"This
a
is the only
fucking
way.
powerful ass mutant." He's like, yep.
It's the only
He's like, his people
explanation."
worship him as a god. He's like, I'll get my ass beat by a god.
It's
That's
he's
what
like,
he was
"Fair,
thinking.
respectable,
Uh,
fine."
but all in all, the Black Panther series,
We should say our scores at the same time.
yeah. So all in all, for me, the Black Panther series is a 10 out of 10. It does
Yeah.
great for cultural representation,
Yes.
right? Like with anything, you get the right amount of people, or not the right amount of people. You get the right group of people
Yes.
who have a vision, are allowed to execute it, and they understand what executing it perfectly would mean for its audience. It's going to make beautiful results. So I have to give the series a 10. But
Yep.
for this movie, at the same time, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
8
8 out
out
of
of
10.
10. Yay!
I gotta give it an 8. Like I said, the lackluster final fight, the spotty CGI and green screen work in the final fight,
Namor
and the
just shot my
subpar
score
acting
up.
of the leading lady, the main character,
Yeah.
kind of just drives it down
Her
for me.
hair
But to
looks
be
great,
fair,
though.
I give the first Black Panther the same score.
Oh, I gave it like a 9.5. That movie was fucking iconic. I never
see, I don't
noticed
do-
any CGI
I don't
errors in
do
the final
points.
fight. I didn't give a fuck.
I
I was
don't-
like, this is a fantastic movie.
See, I don't like when people do the decimal scale,
Oh,
but
I need
but
to.
for me, it's the same thing. It's the lackluster. Well, it's a great fight. It's the lackluster conclusion and
Yeah.
how they have Killmonger's character progress so that he's able to
That
be killed.
felt like just a fun like aha moment. Like there's no reason why she should not have talked to her brother or her fucking father or like her mother.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like I understand why you couldn't
originally,
talk to
yeah,
T'Challa.
originally it was going to be T'Challa, but they threw in Michael B. Jordan because they had to do
Just
the
it
rewrite.
felt
It's still a good no, it's still a good scene, but I agree, it feels out of place.
because it just they really didn't interact that much.
No,
Not enough for that to be a lasting thing. And that's literally the ancestral plane itself being like, you know what? You want to see your father right now?
no,
Michael
she
B.
didn't.
Jordan.
She didn't want to see her father. She wanted to see T'Challa.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's the score. 8 out of 10. Make sure you give us a follow on Spotify,
Woo!
subscribe to us on YouTube,
Woo!
follow us on TikTok,
We're making
and
content.
something new.
Glub, glub, glub,
Start.
glub, glub.
Oh my! Starting with this episode of the Quick Sip, I'm going to be making us a Rotten Tomatoes account and leaving an official review. So if you guys want to go look at that, you can see basically a summary of what we talked
A
about
wee
here.
bit of viral marketing, governor.
But we'll see you next time.
Bye.